Sean Malia Thompson.
And I'm Tiffany Morris.
And on the program today, we're going to be covering Season 1, Episode 3, The Tale of the Lonely Ghost, aired August 29th, 1992. It was directed by DJ McHale. I was going to say probably directed by DJ McHale. And written by Naomi Jansen and DJ McHale. Starring Laura Bertram as Amanda Cameron, Pauline Little as Aunt Dottie, Laura Levin as Beth, and Sheena Larkin as Nanny.
What's her face? Amanda, weirdly enough, played a character also called Amanda in the show Ready or Not, which I don't think aired in the United States.
Probably not. I don't know.
It was about two best friends who lived in Toronto, I think. And
then probably not.
Yeah, just like hijinks of their growing up and being besties and all that stuff. It was like Degrassi, but with only two characters.
Oh, that's cute. She was in a 2019 Are You Afraid of the Dark? So
no way.
Yeah, so she's got... I don't think it's called tenure. I was about to say she's got tenure.
Are You Afraid of the Dark? Tenure. Yeah, so now she can play a neglectful mother.
She's apparently also on Supernatural. Honestly, that's like the only one I've heard of, so...
Yeah, probably lots of Canadian stuff.
Looks like
she's one of those people that I'm sure a lot of Canadians have seen and gone like, oh yeah, it's Amanda from Ready or Not.
Probably. Yeah, not... Okay, at the top of the show, I want to specify my dislike of this episode has nothing to do that it's like about girls. Because like there are plenty that I liked that were about girls and I was like, cool.
Yeah.
This one's just sort of like... There's not much to it.
It's kind of, yeah. I thought it was actually, as I was watching it, a few different Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes, which I guess is good in like a tone setting way. Like there's a lot of ghosts on Are You Afraid of the Dark, which I love, but it's like there was a tragedy. Yeah. There's a kid ghost.
Well, I think it's called The Tale of the Hungry Hounds. I mean, they're all 20 minutes, so it's like, you know, to be like, oh, this one doesn't feel like a lot happens. It's like, it can sort of hold up when you realize like a bunch of other ones, it doesn't feel like that, but they're still obviously the same length.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just very much, there's so much of the time is spent with Amanda and her cousin Beth that there's like maybe 10 minutes of like ghost stuff total.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting because it really reminded me of like how much it sucks to be that age. Because it's just like, that's what it's like to be a young girl. Like you just enter these social groups and there's all these rules you don't know about. And like some of the horror there is just like the anxiety of dealing with those power dynamics that are needlessly
I was going to
brutal.
say it's a little like, it's somewhat cerebral for Are You Afraid of the Dark? And it's like, the real monster was man or girls.
The real monster was Beth.
The real monster was Beth. Beth sucks.
Yeah, Beth is so mean.
Every time I watch this, by the way, ever since I've been a kid, I watch it and be like, is she just leaving her in the mirror? And then part of me is like, fucking good. But no, she's just in the closet. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like, wasn't that part of the horror in the original story? Is that a kid got locked in a closet or something and died?
I think so.
Yeah. But it definitely seemed like she was trapped in the mirror.
Yeah, no, I mean, like,
fake out.
It's like in the mirror. So, like, it was a fake out. Yeah, you think she's trapped in the mirror. Fairly, I'll just give the synopsis. Basically, Amanda has to live with her cousin for, I think, the summer. And her cousin Beth sucks and picks on her, and they live across from this house that her aunt can't sell because it like had this tragedy that happened in it, and the place is haunted, and they find "Help Me" written on the walls, and there's this we'll say older woman. She's not old, but this old crone who goes by Nanny. What really confused me was I thought Nanny was her nanny,
Yeah.
which is a fair assumption. I thought she was
Yeah.
like, I hate my nanny, who's like the lady that watches me. And I still don't know whether she was a nanny who was also named Nanny, whether she
Yeah.
just was unnamed, but then they called her Nanny. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
was like, is she like a grandmother that's, kids sometimes call nanny, or is she like a nanny like Fran Fine the nanny? Like that's how she
right.
gets
Or is
named.
her name just Nanny, which is
Yeah.
short for Nancine, of course.
Nancine, what?
I made it up. Like,
Okay.
I don't know what Nanny would be short for,
Nancine.
but I just did Francine with an N. Um, but yeah,
But
I don't
yeah,
know. It's
Beth is just like, I hate Nanny. She's so old and weird.
right. So you don't really. We just know she hates Nanny, and
Yeah.
Nanny's creeped out by the house. Um, Obviously, spoilers. It turns out it was her daughter that died in that house, and um, depending on how you view it, it's either like a really sweet sort of ending or just like a really dark one. Because
Yeah.
Nanny's just like, I'm going to live in the mirror universe with my dead daughter. So if you believe in like a, heaven or something like that, it's like this beautiful ending for her and she gets to live with her daughter again who died. Um, you could also see it like she willingly goes to death.
Hmm.
So it's up for interpretation, but it spooked me out a little.
Yeah, I found it deeply sad. It's just like this poor woman was clearly marginalized after experiencing just like this horrifying grief and just like mistreated by whoever these people are. Like, I don't know if it's her family or what.
I don't know.
It's just
So
like, yeah, like that was her best alternative, and no one seems to care that she's going to be gone forever now.
right, it's a very children's program thing of like, it's almost like with babies with object impermanence, where it's just like it's no longer here, so it's done. Like we don't have
Yeah,
to think about it.
it's fine.
It's
Nobody
like
needs to file a
Apple was
police
here, Apple
report.
gone, no more Apple.
It's
Um,
like on that, I think you should leave sketch where he's just like, it's just like they were nothing. Don't worry about it. It's just like Nanny was nothing.
yeah. Um, one thing I find funny is so we've got the crew. I always forget all of their names, but
Yep.
it's Frank, Betty Ann,
Frank, Betty
it's
Ann, and little what's her name?
Gary. Um, but anyway, so there's Dave. Dave is a young boy. I actually forgot this was a Dave story though, because it's very like Flowers in the Attic almost. It's like teenage girls that are fighting and being mean, and it's like the almost getting into like the social horrors of being a preteen or teen girl and how awkward and scary that can be when put into a new social situation and being ostracized.
Yeah, it's 100% that. Like, it was stressing me out so bad. It brought
Right,
back
and
so
then
many
we pull
memories.
back and you remember it's little Dave's story, this like 12-year-old boy. And I was just like, that's very on the nose for a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah, I guess
Like,
it's not surprising that it was written primarily by a woman.
right, I just think it's funny that it's like Dave. Dave can, it'd be like if one of the girls had an episode where they're like Timmy and Harry love to play sports and like
It
just
does
like
kind of follow gender
very
lines.
I don't necessarily believe in like very strict gender definitions or anything like that, but it is sort of funny that it's all about like girls and their dollies and getting picked on and this mirror, and then it's just this kid that has this sort of knowing smile when he's done telling the story. I think that's just the actor's performance.
Oh, but you know what? Because he gives that blonde character a locket afterwards. So, like, maybe he was telling that story just to suck up to her. Like,
It could be, yeah.
be like, look how sensitive I am.
I almost feel like they added that at the end, like DJ McHale was like, this seems a little, I don't want to say it, so let's maybe make some like straight overtures where
Right.
he's just like, girls, yeah.
Butch this up a little.
Right. Will you be my girlfriend? Yeah.
Yeah.
and things were great for the rest of the summer. Like his delivery is like, cool, man. That's cool. Like,
I mean,
okay.
it's nice to know that these days they would just let a kid be gay. Right?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I don't, okay. I can't speak on this because, like, I had a younger sister, but, like, I guess I don't know. Is it normal for someone, like, around that age to be, like, really obsessed with stuffed animals and dolls?
So they're like what, 12 or 13?
They seem
Did they
12 or
say?
13.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of that weird time where it's just like you're sort of a teenager, but also not. So like you still like some stuff from when you were a kid, I think. Like
Okay.
people are kind of different stages with it. Like some people are going out smoking and drinking already, and other people are
Yeah.
like, I like my stuffed animals still.
I think it's just, like, the line she has, like, you've got to clean up all my animals. I'm like, first of all, even if you have stuffed animals, do you call them animals?
Yeah.
Like, check out my new animal. It's like, what are you, 3?
Yeah, I was like, you're acting like you're way cooler than you are if you're this age and still collecting stuffed animals.
I know. I mean, this show also, I don't know. I mean, I know in popular culture, redheads get like stereotyped,
Right.
but like, damn, it's like we had Laughing in the Dark, and this is actually back to back now that I think of it. We had Laughing in the Dark, where it's a redheaded kid who sucks. Then we gender swap it and go to The Tale of the Lonely Ghost. And what is it? It's a red-haired girl that sucks.
Yeah, that's true. And that was a bigger stereotype in the 90s.
It was. I mean, I don't want to go on a whole spiel, but basically it goes back to the Christian thing of they needed a way to differentiate Judas in paintings. So
Yeah.
traditionally they would give him like a sort of blonde red hair.
Oh my
Um,
God, Judas was a ginger.
I mean, I don't think he really was because everyone was Middle Eastern. So, like,
No, everybody was white, Sean. Have you seen the photos?
I mean, they would all have black hair. Well, okay, Syrians can have lighter hair, but I mean, but my point stands. Like, it wouldn't be like red. Um, but I think it was literally some shit where like they had a limited amount of pigments or just like, yeah, paints they could use back in the day. And so
Or
Jesus
even
would always tend to do the brown hair. And then they would have to differentiate who Judas was from everyone else. So they'd go with like a brighter color. At least that's what I think I read about it.
that's a weird thing. And then just to like persecute redheads based on that.
I mean, I think it was like that's sort of how it started. And then over the years, there was like redheaded stepchild and all that stuff got kind of added to it. I'm sure there's some, hangover. That's not the right phrase. I'm sure there's some history with like anti-Irish stuff.
Hmm.
Um, you know, like
Or
red
anti-Scottish,
redheads need
anti-Celt.
not apply. Yeah, anti-Celt. But anyway, yeah, these redheads suck. They're just fucking awful. This
Yeah,
actress in particular does such a good job. I was like, God, I hate you. She's just like, her mouth's just like kind of sticking out the whole time. And like, her hair is, I mean, this is not her fault. It was the 90s, but her hair is awful.
yeah. It's very 90s. Like
It's
how
just
she
like, it's like
dresses.
a ponytail, but then there's like bangs split like in the
Oh yeah.
front.
I remember people having that hair.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. And there was the
It was very hip.
scrunchie. And then like the huge kind of coiffed bangs in the middle.
Yep.
Uh,
She plays the
yeah,
role. Yeah, you're right. Like the character is really obnoxious.
yeah, that's her whole character. Is like but you know what though? Like that's also just like a lazy children's TV type thing
Yes.
because it's like every episode there's been like the nice one and like the jerk. Very very first one it was the older brother was a jerk. The second one it was the redheaded friend was a jerk. This one it's like the redheaded cousin is a jerk.
Yeah, there's always someone to challenge the protagonist that's like one of their peers.
Yeah, I think it's just a faster way to get into it too. Of just like, here's your antagonist, here's your protagonist.
Yeah. And you have to like um sympathize with the character quickly so that you care that they're in danger. So that's kind of a easy shorthand.
Yeah, and you also have to simplify it for a younger audience as well. So they don't care quite as much about the moral ambiguities of life.
Right.
They're just like, bad, good. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Um,
Although, I don't know. Probably some kids could handle
oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
more
I mean,
complexity
yeah,
than
I'm,
that,
I'm
but you know.
sure. Um, but those aren't the kids that Are You Afraid of the Dark is trying to appeal to.
No. Which is fine. Because they already, I think, Are You Afraid of the Dark, part of its magic is that it's not condescending to kids.
No, it isn't. I mean, it's simplified, but it's, um, yeah, no, I don't know.
It's simplified because it's for kids.
I think I just realized, by the way, that Nanny plays, I think, the witch in an upcoming episode.
Nice.
Unless I'm wrong about that. But I'm fairly sure. I mean, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, how many female characters even are there that are adults, like, available to them?
I'm sure they recycle them because it's still just like the one Toronto, acting pool.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I hesitate to do the kind of like 1 through 10 rating type thing because, I don't know, it's a decent enough episode. Not my favorite, not my least favorite.
Yeah, kind of its main faults are that it doesn't stand out enough that I thought multiple times through the episode, having seen pretty much all of the series, that like it was a number of different better episodes. And I was like, oh, right, it's this one.
Yeah, yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, because there's tons of like haunted neighbor's house, lonely ghosts. I thought this was actually the one with the old lady ghost in the nearby apartment. I can't wait for us to get to that episode. I don't even know
Yeah, I
what season
forget
it
which
is.
one that is. I think I was thinking of there's one where there's like a dollhouse that you can go into that
Yes,
something about that one creeps me out a
that
lot.
one's so scary.
I think
And
it's
there's
also
one with,
because it's not a happy ending. If I remember right, it's like someone's literally just trapped.
I forget.
It happens a couple times. There's one where it's like an enormous video game and the end is just like they're still trapped.
Yes.
Which of course I love because I'm just like, wow, y'all just don't care. Just like,
Yeah.
and they were trapped in a horrible purgatory. The end.
Yep. I think that's great. I think Goosebumps did that too in the books. It was just like, yep, this ending was bad.
Yeah, it
Everything
did it
was not
sometimes,
okay.
man.
Like,
Yeah,
oh,
man.
shit.
Like, there's one where I hate to spoil Goosebumps books, but it's been, what, 30 years now? I think we're okay. I think it was the ghost next door, and then the twist at the end is actually, like, the protagonist is a ghost.
That makes sense.
I remember being like, I mean, it blew my little 12-year-old mind. I was like, what the fuck? I always retcon it, too. I clearly didn't say, well, actually, at 12, I was probably saying, what the fuck?
I
It was
think,
probably
yeah,
more
I
like,
was testing it out.
it was probably more like, dude, you know.
Dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, that and my other favorite that stuck with me was I never remember the name, but it's something like Camp Blood, maybe? It's just like some camp. And it's like people are going missing, and you think it's a sort of like almost a slasher type thing, and then at the end it turns out there's aliens, and they're just like, we've been experimenting on you, and they're
Classic.
like, you have passed the test, hooray! And like
You know,
that's just the end.
I love a good alien episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh,
There's a
that
couple.
too. They just have like a room that they put like purple dowels in and stuff.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you have any closing thoughts on it?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think it was actually the human element was better than I thought, but the scary element was worse than I thought.
I think
Although
yeah.
I think that the child ghost was actually pretty scary. Like, I think that when you do a ghost, the more minimal you are with it, the better. Or this was basically just a kid painted gray. Like,
Yeah. It was. I think the scariest part to me is just when Beth is just like, ew, Nanny's gross, get away from her. I was like, what the calm down.
This poor 50-year-old woman, like not even that old. She's just like, that why is it all there?
Woman is like 5 feet away from you too.
Yeah. Beth
So
is a monster.
that actually scared me the most. I was just like, oh my God, stop. Like, so rude.
Yeah. The real horror was how rude people can be.
The real horror was that housing market.
Yeah.
That great piece of real estate and you can't even move it.
Oh, that would get snapped up in a second now, and it'd be an Airbnb that someone made millions off of.
Oh, yeah, clearly. Oh, I
This is
don't
why you
care,
can't
dude.
have
Are you
Are You Afraid
kidding
of
me?
the
If it
Dark
was a
now.
nice house, the whole family could have gotten murdered in it. I'd be like, well, that sucks. How much does it cost?
Yeah.
Let's bump that down by 20,000 and then we're good.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, like, short anecdote. We got a decent apartment in Malden, and it was like very obvious that the man was older and had died there, because there was like in the kitchen there's this sort of like, it wasn't like a blood stain like in the shape of a person, but like it was clearly like there was sort of a stain in a certain area, and you were like, oh, okay. Like,
Oh, that was a person. That's a person stain.
yeah, but I'm like, well, it was cheaper, I guess. So, hooray.
Just put in new floor, fucking landlords.
It did go, I mean, we did clean it, and like eventually we either cleaned it or just forgot about it. Um, yeah, yeah. But
Oh,
anyway,
that's life. I'm glad you had a nice apartment.
what's funny is it wasn't that, it was nice, but parts of it were not nice. I mean, like, we had like mold that started growing above the shower because they hadn't painted it with like a mold-free type of paint. It was just like regular paint.
Classic.
Yeah. But anyway,
That's grown up. Are You Afraid of the Dark?
it's grown up. Are You Afraid of the Dark?
And there was black mold all over the
And
ceiling.
then I look at it and, I turn my head and go, ah! But yeah, anyway, yeah, I think I've run out of shit to say. So,
Yeah.
well, anyway, listeners, excited to announce that I'm going to be trying to get these up on YouTube more regularly. So for people where that's an easier in or share for you, it's going to be on YouTube. It is still going to be on Anchor, aka Spotify for podcasts. Even though they don't pay me any money anymore, and I'm not thrilled about that. But yeah, sue me. So yeah, until next time, I'm Sean Melia Thompson.
I'm Tiffany Morris.
And Dutch Tilt Scream.
Ah.
Zeeb. They use the word zeeb.